Today is Saturday, May 14th, 2022. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 42 Week 10.
2 shows a week. Got your recap on Wednesday, and then listener feedback celebration Saturday. Was that too loud? You're wincing.
It is through my headphones. Whoa.
How many super fans did we have check in?
20
for this week. All right, so we got a lot to dive into. It was an exciting episode, a lot going on. I'm sure we got different comments, different perspectives, different takes on things, and hopefully some predictions that can help us with the fantasy league going forward.
2 more weeks of episodes.
Just 2 more weeks.
Done.
Yes, and it is going to wrap up on us. Okay, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're at the final 6, and we just got to that point. Let's check in with folks and see what their thoughts were and how all this went down. First up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow. This was jam-packed to a crisp. I need a dilly-dilly right now. So I'm going to let out a great big oh, man. I'm losing my voice. It was so intense. And I was watching my hometown Celtics in a rough Game 5. But Survivor, man, this was insane. First, Drea, guys. Love Drea, but she shot herself in the foot. I think she did what the Celtics did when I was watching Game 5. She did a little bit not to lose there. What I mean is by telling Omar, who is the snake of all snakes, and I think now he's a villain. I still think he has a chance to win, but man, that was a major mistake by Drea telling Omar about her advantage there, how she could take Mike's idol, and man, did it hurt her big time. And I give all the credit in the world to Omar and Lindsay. Again, I'm so glad Lindsay, just like Deshaun in season 41, I'm not a big fan of this twist here that Probst has done, but it saved Deshaun and Lindsay got saved. Thank goodness. Now, what if that screwed Jonathan over? I'm sure Probst would have not been too thrilled about that. But nevertheless, I'm so glad for Lindsay. She has really stepped up her game. I know many were worried about her being like the Erica from last season, which she was invisible during the pre-merge, but now the last few episodes of the post-merge, we've seen quite a bit of her, and she's working a great social game, doing good in challenges, and I love her strategy. I think she has a chance to win, and if it's her and Omar in the final 3, say with Marianne, she may have a chance to win. I don't know if she will win, but she has a chance. Marianne has an outside chance to win because she's starting to speak a little better. We'll see. Romeo, well, not much to say about Romeo. Womp womp. Go Rodeo Romeo. And Jonathan, guys, hats off for winning the challenge again, but I'm getting annoyed, guys. No social game, no strategy. If he is somehow in the end, he's not going to get many votes. I don't think the jury's going to respect his game. And Mike, I think, along with Omar and Lindsay, I think it's somewhat Marianne. He may have the best shot of winning. That was a big move there when he gave his idol to Omar, and then he helped orchestrate. Well, it was mainly Omar and Lindsay, but he helped orchestrate the blind side by getting rid of a big threat in Drea. It's going to be an epic finish, guys. I'm sure Stacey, you're rolling your eyes with the Probst fourth wall stuff again. And by the way, I don't know what Probst was saying about a Deshaun there needing it. He participated in the challenge, and he was out in 1 second when he held on to the marble. Probst, get your head straightened out. There was an epic episode, guys. can't wait for the big finish. Gonna see some secret scenes now. I need a drink. Whoa.
Whoa. Hey, thanks, Pete. Pete said dilly dilly, and I thought, wow, how coincidental is that? There's a song that's got a line where you sing dilly dilly in it in the curriculum that I'm working on right now, and somehow he's made that connection. And then I Googled it, and I realized, oh, that's a very famous Budweiser ad where they say dilly dilly, and it's totally made up. So, yeah, I hope you have a cool one there, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in with my listener feedback. I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode. In spite of the twist, I'm sure we would have all rather not been there. I'm curious if anyone out there predicted that it would just be Jonathan and Lindsay competing in the challenge. Before the episode started, I anticipated that the only people who probably would sit out are the ones who either had an idol or had the ability to get one. But as Jeff started explaining this do or die sort of twist, I started thinking there's such little incentive to compete at all, so it made sense that more opted to sit out. Odds are that the person who's playing the do or die twist is going to go home, and despite the outcome that we've seen twice now, I think the only reason to compete in the do or die challenge is if you meet the criteria of being both at risk and also being super competitive in challenges. And that explains why Jonathan decided to compete, but it also explains why it was a mistake for Lindsay to compete. I don't think she was at risk to go home at all. We came pretty close to not even having a challenge if only one person opted to compete, which I think shows the stupidity of the do or die twist. So luckily, I think that's the last time we've seen that twist. Unfortunately, I lost my first save point in the JSFL, and that save point was really important because it was my USB Drea. When she told Omar about her plan to take Mike's idol, I knew that was going to spell her demise pending the do or die conclusion. No way was Omar going to be able to resist making such a big move. It's amazing how Omar gets everyone to tell him their secrets. He gets them all warm and tingly by having like simple conversations with them, like when he was telling Dre about how big Mike's head was getting after the high vote. And I think he's definitely the MVP of the season. There's no question in my mind that if he gets to the end, that he has a really good chance at winning. But I think people are getting wise to him making all the moves in the game. Next week, I think Jonathan will probably be my vote out. You know what would be really funny is if Omar could lie to Mike one more time and tell him that somebody found Dre's advantage and that his idol is being targeted and he should give it to him again, and then blindside him to give it out. Because I do think that Omar will give it back to him. I don't think Mike would be as jovial as he was at this last Tribal Council. But anyway, I look forward to hearing what all the other fans saw of the episode and what's everyone's predictions for next week. All right, take care.
Thanks, Robert. Oh, sweet summer child, Robert. You think Probst is going to be willing to give up on the do or die challenge? That's the monster, and it's hungry. I guarantee he'll bring that back.
You know, I'm so tired of hearing you say that. I didn't want to hear Probst talk about the monster, and now you talked about it in the last two podcasts.
Well, Probst did too.
Ugh.
I was just echoing.
Don't echo.
Thanks, Robert. And I liked your idea about how Omar could end up tricking Mike again. There was what was it? Oh, Sesternino was talking to, what's his name from 41? Ricard, yeah. Yes, and Ricard said that the immunity idol bracelets are identical to what comes on the tree mail, except for one bead. And he was thinking that it would be almost trivial for Omar to fool Mike with one of those and actually hand him a fake but hold the real one. Wouldn't that be something?
It'd be a fake idol.
Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
This most recent episode was great with the return of the do or die twist, and the cast dynamics were shown. It is never a really great idea to play the type of under-the-radar game that Romeo is trying to play, since it just won't win you much, if any, points at the end. Right from the beginning of this season, I feel like the castaway that has been having a great time from the start to finish was Mary Ann. I understand that if I was living on the island with her, it could be annoying after a while, but watching her play is just fun. I know not everyone enjoys the behind-the-scenes sneak peek that Jeff gave out last season, as well as this one, but I like that type of stuff. I am kind of interested in knowing what would have happened if only one person decided to play in the immunity challenge and everyone else sits out. I assume they automatically get immunity and we move on.
Yep.
Or not. They could just as easily, they're the first person off. They would be.
Also immune.
Are they? Okay. So the player I think is playing a tremendous game right now is Omar, and I do like where his gameplay is going. Right now I see him as the winner for this season, but anything can happen. The way that Drea left the game was not being a bad juror. She congratulated everyone, and I really liked how she was having fun with the rest of the cast on the way out. With only 2 episodes remaining, I can't wait to see what happens next and what the rest of you have to say. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we have a call from Nora.
Hi, Stacy and Joanne. It's Nora in Canada. So I'm really happy that Drea has gone home because her unblinking eyes staring with that emotionless face I'm kind of done with. Frankly, I kind of do hold it against her that she was saying all that stuff at that previous tribal with Marianne and then comes out playing really, really hard. You could either claim I'm injured, have mercy on me, or you can play hard, but when you do both, it's just very embarrassing, and I'm kind of glad that she's gone. I really like Omar and Mike together, and I was absolutely thrilled at how that went. I think Lindsay's just casting around for membership everywhere, and she's also making friends with people and disclosing things that she might not want to, which obviously was the demise of Drea. I'm really glad it all happened. I love Marianne. I hope she stays around a really long time because she's delightful. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that vote out. I don't know. I'd love to know how somebody from Texas got a job up in Montreal, because who would really come up here where it snows 2/3 of the year and you're freezing all the time and you don't speak French? I don't know how she got the job up here. It'd be very interesting to find out. She's certainly very, very fit. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, she's incredibly resourceful. I bet I know the adage she was finding: find, avoid, and fill it. Because that's what you do when you're young and hungry.
That works. And besides, it's way too hot in Texas, so maybe she likes the cold as a change.
Yeah. Next up, we got a call from Chris.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Chris from Minneapolis calling. Really loved Drea's exit from the show last night. I just thought it was an all-timer. Just great. Loved how she just said something about each player, and in a game where information is power, it just kind of leaves everybody with different things to think about. Just the grace that she left with, and I'd love to see her in a future Survivor for sure. Just overall, just kind of shows what a great cast that it was this year, and is so many people who could have won. I mean, Drea could have easily won this year if things had kind of gone differently. So, loved her. Also, it's looking more and more like Romeo is going to be the GOAT that's brought to the end. Just seems like that's the smart play, and it just feels like that's just where this is headed. And I guess the last thing I'd like to say is just thank you for providing this forum. Controversial episode from a couple weeks back definitely was one of those moments where I think you may have felt one way in the heat of the moment, and to be able to step back and reflect and on what Drea was going through made a lot of sense. And I do appreciate how your show people stand up, and we just don't have enough of that right now. That you guys have a discussion, I think it is awesome. And
all right, Chris, I think your call broke up a little bit at the end, but we appreciate that. Next up, we got an email from Shahin in Australia. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. A truly magnificent episode. It had everything you ever wanted in a Survivor episode, with an end to boot. I found Romeo's notion of underdogs taking over the game is very charming and cute. They might put themselves in a position to be a piece in a voting block, but that's all they were ever regarded as internally. However, outside the game, we call them goats. Bye. What's worse is that I think he knows he's terrible and has no chance of winning, and said, "Stuff you all, I'ma eat the rice and burn this thing to the ground." I don't remember much of the winners of older Survivor seasons, but as far as I remember, the provider role in Survivor has never acquired the win. Was Richard Hatch one? Yeah, he was, actually. He killed a shark at one point and brought it in and fed everyone.
Didn't it bite him?
Yeah, it did. It actually bit him in the process. Yeah, it bit him under the arm. Or did he just go fishing sporadically? No, he definitely filled the provider role, but he was all that and more. I mean, he had the template ground setting strategic game. So he was in another class. So I feel like Jonathan is being a bit ahistorical with his complaints, and I find he's quite lucky to have lasted so long, being both a provider and a huge physical threat. The dilemma of opting in or out of the challenge really threw me. I had Jonathan going out this week in JSFL, and when I saw it was only him and Lindsay competing, I was doomed. Another question on scaling. Do you think the ledges were the same thickness, or were they scaled? They looked to be the same to me.
Yeah, I thought so.
I tried to have a look, but the ledges are capped off by a square, so no camera angle provides enough info to make an assessment. Okay. Plenty of big and strong guys have played Survivor, but I don't think they exert the same agility or power that Jonathan does. He's truly playing like an athlete. Finally, what a tribal. Again, we see a failure in the knowledge is power advantage. However, I question its efficacy and validity in remaining in the game to begin with. Whilst it seems so powerful, the transmission of information between modern-day players is so open that it's almost negated. Yeah, well, they all seem to be hell-bent on shooting themselves in the foot, sharing everything. Once again, we see the odds of the Monty Hall problem fall in favor of the player. What are the odds of that happening twice consecutively? 1 in 9? I think I saw someone say that's what it worked out to. High had good perspective and understood the Monty Hall problem mathematically, and I wonder if it had anything to do with his economics degree or data science background. I'm going to go with data science since that's heavy on statistics. This season is brilliant and a stark improvement on last year's edit. I don't think we'll see a purple edit winner. Most of the players left have currency agency to win this game, and the last two to leave also were the same. Finally, on GSFL, I went up a massive 3 places, even by losing a save point. The race to the top is on. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Shahin. Next up, we got a call from Boother.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy, and all you Survivor fans. This is Boother calling in. Drea! I can't believe she's out. After my USB high was voted out, Drea was my favorite. And now she's gone. Drea! The tribe has spoken. The post-vote hugs and laughs was great to see, especially that there was no animosity in the vote. The tribal left everyone feeling good about each other and showed how much respect all the players have for one another. Well, getting back to camp, Mike was so proud of his vote off, but it was all due to Omar's revealing Drea's secret. I'm glad Drea called Omar out for his betrayal when she left. Now everyone will be careful around Omar. At the immunity challenge, I was shocked that only 2 people participated. I had picked Romeo to go since he seemed physically the weakest and would probably be the first person to drop off that challenge. Jonathan and Lindsay's battle royale was painful to watch. Their muscles were so much on display in this challenge. Then we find out that Lindsay played football through high school, so she had to develop her muscles. She was amazing. Well, when we got to Tribal and Lindsay beat the odds and chose the safe box again, just like Deshaun did last season, was truly amazing. Well, this was a great show. Really enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing what happens next and predict that either Mike or Omer are going to be in trouble next week. So we'll see what happens. And finally, Marianne says she's not a goat to be herded, but it sure looks to me like both Marianne and Romeo are the goats in this season. That's it for now. Looking forward to hearing what everybody else has to say.
Thanks, Boother. I agree. She's still looking pretty goaty to me, too. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the super fans. This is Justin from Michigan. I got to watch last week's episode with our newest baby daughter.
All
and
right.
That lessened the blow of my USB Drea going home. It was a great episode. Nice to be home. And really, really looking forward to the finish here. I think everybody except Romeo has a semi-decent chance. Jonathan's a big long shot. And the other four, I really think they can make a strong case. Omer, I think, is still the favorite. I think if Marianne gets there, she has a good case. Lindsay can make a good case. And then, of course, Mike, I'd put him just above Jonathan, where he'd really have to explain his moves well. Him and Jonathan both have a better image of themselves than what the rest of the players have of them about their gameplay. So they have an uphill battle, but I still say they have a chance. So my ideal final three would be Omer, Lindsay, and Marianne. I think that would be interesting. I think Omer would take it at that point. But there's so many combinations that can happen because now, there's 3 idols. We have Mike's idol, Marianne's idol, and now Lindsay's amulet as an idol. Mm-hmm. So Omer could get idled out. You just never know. If they kind of put it together that he's been behind a lot of these moves, they could definitely target him. So there's just a lot. And then, yeah, of course, there's an extra vote out there too, right? So, yeah, there's just a lot of variables in this last regular episode, and then of course the finale. So really looking forward to it, and I just wanted to hop on quick and share my thoughts, and looking forward to everybody else. Have a good week.
Thanks, Justin. Congratulations.
Yeah, that would be if one person won immunity and then 3 people played their idols,
which you can almost guarantee at least 2 of them have to.
2 of them have to
expire. Yeah.
We don't know about Marianne's, but Lindsay and Mike have to.
Yep, and Marianne's got to play the extra vote too. It also expires.
Well, as long as Mike gets it back, but I think he will. Well, that'll be interesting.
Yep, it's going to be Idol Palooza for sure. Finally, I can't imagine she won't play it. That Lindsay won't.
Oh no.
I mean, Lindsay has to. I can't imagine that Marianne won't. It seems like she's very likely to. That would be quite the test to hold it, though. So she's definitely playing that extra vote, and we think since it's a classic idol that she found that it's good to Final 5. So it's got a little more juice than the other 2. Next up, we got an email from Jill in the Outback.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. So sorry for not sending in feedback for so long. My husband had a knee replacement surgery, so I've been stupidly busy doing my work, his work, and looking after him. He's back on his feet and getting more active day by day, but I wish I had $1 for every cup of tea I've made in the last few weeks. Anyway, I'm a very casual fan this series, but I wanted to say how much I've really enjoyed the last couple of episodes and how it's been played in really good spirit. I loved Tribal this week. It was clever and entertaining. I don't think we could have guessed how devious Omar was going to turn out at the start of this series. And his emu shirt, I love it. I reckon, though, he might be a bit too clever for himself and will be voted out soon. I can see any of the others winning if they get to the end, with the exception of possibly Jonathan. It's been great having the podcast to keep me filled in on all of the things I miss or didn't think about, and I thank you both and all the feedbackers for it. Happy days, everyone. All right, thanks, Jill, and we're glad your husband's doing better. Up next, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. Yeah, pretty interesting episode. I'm going to jump right to the end. I actually had Drea and Mike safe, so by the end there, I mean, I wasn't sure exactly what was going to go down. I did get the distinct impression that Mike was going to give her a no when she asked for her the knowledge is power business. But I think that Omer, he's getting this. People keep saying he's getting a winner's edit, but I think he cannot win. I'm getting that impression too. I think he could probably get a second place, but I don't think he can win. I think he's just, the lies are too egregious and too blatant. It's not just he heard something and then he embellished, or he just kind of omitted in some information. He literally said things that other people did not say. And I think that all of that business with Drea walking out, singling them out, you're this, love you, I feel like that whole thing was to point out to everyone without, making it too pointed, even though it was, just pointing it out, that Omer is the one who sold her out. So that's kind of what she was saying is that Omer cannot be trusted. And that was probably a signal to Mike, too, because Omar's been playing him pretty hard. So I don't think Omar can win. I think that Lindsay is not the beast in challenges that she's being made out to be. I feel like the ones she won last week, I meant to say this, but I feel like the ones she won were actually not that challenging. And, I mean, she was almost beat by Jonathan, who had feet twice the size of her on those planks. So I was excited to see Jonathan perform again this week. I didn't think he was kind of giving her the side-eye, scope her out. See, I think he was trying to psych her out, actually. I think he was looking over her to just kind of show that he was paying attention, and maybe that would kind of freak her out. I don't know. That's kind of the feeling I got on that one, too. I think at this point, Marianne or Mike are the kind of clear, at least as far as I can tell, candidates to win. We'll see. But interesting episode. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Romeo, worthless, garbage. As far as the gameplay, of course, is what I mean. He's the perfect GOAT. He'll probably be third place. All right, everyone, have a good weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, he's definitely got a lock on third right now. They'd have to knock him loose. He's got a pretty strong hold on it. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I am outside, so there may be some outside noises happening, but hopefully I talk loud enough to block some of that out. I loved this episode. It was another good one, even with Do or Die, because it failed. So that was awesome, especially because I love Lindsay, so I did not want her to go from Do or Die. Thankfully, it worked out. I was so sad when it was just her and Jonathan. I kind of expected that, but I thought maybe Drea would go for it as well, which is why I had Drea as my vote-off point, but that ended up working out without Do or Die happening. There we go. It was a fun episode. Of course, we got Romeo stealing food, which, I hate when people do that on Survivor. That's so annoying. But yeah, once again, we got Omar just running this game. Whenever Drea told him that she had knowledge is power and was going to steal Mike's idol, ooh, baby, that is why it's so helpful for Omar to, like, have connections with everybody. Like, he doesn't have, like, a solid alliance with anybody, but he has connections with everybody. And that's so beneficial for him because now he gets information from everybody and he can use that to his advantage because he's winning this season. He has to. Please, don't do me dirty again and have him get voted off 5th place. Please, don't. Oh, the pain. He's definitely one of the most strategic players we've had in a while. I know like Card and Shan were like really strategic, but I don't know. I think Omar tops them, and he's also more nice and fun. So there's that aspect of it too. But no, I love Omar, and the moment I traveled when Drea tried to play her knowledge is power and it didn't work was awesome because I hate knowledge is power. And then Do or Die failed, so it was a good time, good episode for me, and I got points because I had Drea as my vote off. So I'm definitely at a tight challenge because I had High last week, had Drea last week. I think I had Chanel right and Tori right, so we're doing good. We've rebounded. Come back, baby, which is good. So this is probably my last feedback for this season because I'm working at a summer camp this season and we have staff training starting next week, which is a super busy time. So I don't know if I'm even going to be able to watch Survivor live. Hopefully I'll have time to watch it because I need to see if Omar is winning. He has to. Yeah, may not be able to leave any feedback, or if I do, it'll probably be typed up. So if that's the case, then it's been a fun time this season watching with all the Survivor fans. Thank you, Joanna and Stacy, for this podcast. It's a highlight of my week, listening to the recap and feedback. It's always the first one I listen to, not Rob Has Podcast, not the Survivor Specialist. Joanna and Stacy, Survivor Fans Podcast. First one I listened to. But yeah, it's been a fun season. And yeah, I will see you guys next season.
That was sweet, Parker. Thank you.
Thanks. We appreciate that.
And I hope Omar doesn't go out 5th or 6th. In fact,
certainly be some exciting fireworks if he makes it beyond, potentially.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, up next we have Laurel, aka Brian Hedick Save Us.
Greetings and salutations, Survivor fans. Work has been hectic these past few weeks, and listening to your podcast on my way to Chapel Hill has been a much-needed respite. As glorious as this tribal council was this past week, there is a looming sense of dread as I examine the remaining chess pieces on the Survivor board. I fear the canary in the coal mine is on its deathbed, and I fear the most for Omar right now. What do you do if a season with several potential top 15 winners on it, I'm thinking Omar, High, Drea, actually ends with none of those players winning. We see that all the time. In The Usual Suspects, the crux of the movie is its ending, a payoff that leaves you completely satisfied. With only 2 episodes left, we simply haven't seen anyone else remotely take over the game like Homer. I don't know about you guys, but all of my top half Survivor seasons end with a satisfying winner. King Tony, Richard Hatch, Kim Spradlin, Brian Heedick, Natalie White, just kidding. Just to name a few. Looking at the 7 remaining players and all the hardware that's still out there, I'm getting really nervous for Omer. Marianne, Lindsay, and Mike, assuming he gets it back, all have immunity this week. Jonathan will most likely be the prohibitive favorite to win individual immunity, and Romeo basically has his goat immunity necklace. So who is left? What happens if the unquestioned best player, the player that has never needed an idol or seen his name written down, ends up leaving because there are essentially no other options? How do we react if someone like, say Marianne wins this season, someone who, strategically speaking, has been swimming in the shallow end of the pool? For doing so little, her edit has been amazingly positive, pretty much the opposite of Jonathan's. Her lack of significant moves have not been highlighted at all. It's really usual. And for being so young, she doesn't try to mask her youth. She may actually act younger. Again, why is her edit so positive at this point? It's just something to look more closely at as this season nears its conclusion. Speaking of conclusion, losing Omer would significantly drop season 42 in my eyes, but Marianne somehow winning would probably push me over the edge. It did last season, didn't it? I've heard of grading on a curve, but that wouldn't be pure activism by the jury at that point, and she's my USB. Thanks, Laurel. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling with my feedback for last night's episode. What a great episode, full of drama and emotion. I was a little disappointed at how tacky everybody was on Jonathan. The poor guy is hungry. I mean, look at him. Look at how skinny he's getting. His body is consuming itself for energy. I really saw as the episode went on, poor guy has lost a lot of weight, a lot of muscle mass. He must be exhausted. And it's interesting, you're watching all these people competing and just being so depleted and so hangry and so just out of it and turning on each other. And I just keep thinking, God, what if you were in that game? I'd probably just be lying down and crying at this point and asking to go home and be voted off. I loved Lindsay again this episode. She's a fierce competitor. I was not surprised that only Jonathan and Lindsay stepped up for the challenge, but did anybody else notice, as Jeff was explaining the challenge, that Jonathan was really checking out the apparatus behind him and making a weighted decision? Like, he was looking at how much width there was for where his feet would go. He was looking where his arms would go. He was really checking it out and making a decision, going, can I do this? And the answer was, yeah, I can. And I don't know if anybody else saw this or thought this, but when they were up there and their feet were together at the bottom and their arms were spread out, did it look a little biblical to anyone but me? I was like looking at Jonathan with his long hair and his ribs sticking out and his arms out and his little legs together. I'm like, God, is this intentional? Maybe, maybe not. Kudos for them, though. They fought so hard. I was really happy Jonathan won because, again, he was really one of my favorites. Can't imagine doing that challenge. It looked so hard. And then when everybody went into the strategy, I was really enjoying where everybody's head was at. But Drea, oh, honey, why did you tell anybody about your knowledge is power advantage? I mean, I love that Marianne got another idol, and she so far has told no one. That is the way to go. As soon as you tell somebody what you have, they could use it against you. It made for great drama when she was explaining what her advantage was and they kept showing Mike. I could not read whether he was aware or not, whether his face with his face turned down was, okay, I'm sunk, she's going to take my idol, or I'm going to hide my feelings, she is not going to take my idol. But in the end, it was truly fantastic. What a great move by everybody. She tries to take his idol, voted out. And the way she went out completely topped the way Hai went out. It was with laughter and love and joy. And I was very intrigued by each message she left to each person. Very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens next. This is a wonderful season. That was a wonderful episode. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got a call from Noelle.
No. This is Noelle calling from Albuquerque, and I just lost my USB, and that was so devastating. I feel like fate is laughing at me because last week I said, I don't know if I love the Do or Die, but I do want to see it one more time. And because I didn't realize it was going to be Lindsay that got the Do or Die, I didn't want to see her go. So then she makes it, so that's a relief. And I think, I really wish Drea hadn't told Omer about her. What is it called? You guys know what I'm talking about.
Knowledge is power.
Why do people tell other people about that thing? Stop telling people about that. Don't tell anyone. That was so sad. And then, earlier this season I said, I would like to see Drea play her advantages correctly, which I think she did, and she went out anyway. So, again, I feel like fate is just laughing at me and having a field day with me this season. That was so sad. But now Omer's going to be on people's radar. That's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. At least I think he should be. Jeez, that was pretty public. Okay. I didn't like how Mike was talking about Romeo in the beginning of the episode. I just feel like you don't have to get personal about your confessional, and it's just a game. And yeah, I mean, Romeo, how is Romeo even surviving anyway? He has like no body mass. So to give him a hard time about eating rice, whatever. But I get it. They're starving, and we've already covered this. I don't think it adds to the show to have them starve. I really thought that Drea and Romeo and Mike would all choose to play in that Do or Die challenge because Romeo, I feel like, knows he's on the bottom, so I thought he would at least try. Drea explained why she didn't play, but I thought she would because she seems like such a competitor. And I don't know why I thought Mike would play. I just thought he would. Oh my gosh. I was so shocked that Lindsay made it. I was so shocked. I looked like the jury sitting over there. I love it when the jury looks like we do on the audience side. I love it when they're kind of playing out how we're feeling. It's always fun when the jury's involved like that. I was so shocked. My jaw dropped open. I really didn't think it could happen twice. I really didn't. That was shocking. And now she has an idol. Like, she's probably the last person I would have chosen out of those three to be the last one standing. That's incredible. I am so impressed. So impressed. Not that getting through Do or Die, requires skill, but still very impressed that she's the last one standing on those three. What a great season. What an amazing tribal. I hope everybody else is having as much fun as me, and I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Noelle. Next up, we got an email from Erin in Canada.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Jonathan is a hungry hippo. To answer your question, I would not have shown a purple rock to compete. I would have sat out. Too risky. Although I would have struggled because sitting out of challenges just seems to go against the grain of Survivor, as I would be there to play. But in this case, it would be the wise choice. However, what would have happened if only one person wanted to compete? Would they have to go straight to Do or Die? Interesting. Is it just me, or was Mr. Jeff pointing to the flame box at Tribal? I feel like his hands were gesturing subliminal messages that Lindsay was picking up. There is like a 33% chance to win, and I find it odd that there have been two to find the flame in a row. Stacy felt that last season too, so...
His gestures didn't match up this time.
Yeah, this time they did.
I did see someone point out that it looked like they were using the same boxes and they had the same contents as last season, because the flame box has a light colored line at the bottom of it in both seasons.
Why wouldn't they use the same boxes?
Well, you think they might shift well, they don't have to. Yeah. Since 41 hadn't seen 42 hadn't seen 41, it didn't matter.
Okay, back to Erin. Anyway, great episode. I love the way Drea went out laughing. I feel like the edit showed her serious side when it looks like she was well liked and a lot of fun. She also did a great job of calling them all out before she left, especially Omar. Next week on Survivor, it would be so great to see Marianne make a big move, or someone to use their idol for a blindside. The odds of that happening are worse than finding the flame in the Do or Die challenge, or Marianne losing another toenail. Have a great week. All right, thanks, Erin. Up next, we have a call from Kim.
Hey everybody, this is Kim from North Carolina. The first thing I was thinking is, what if only one person had turned over a purple rock? Would that person automatically be immune? And then would the do or die not occur? I'm just curious about that. Also, I think Deshaun was safe last year after he won the do or die. So since I'm talking about the do or die, very interesting that statistically Lindsay should have switched, but she didn't switch, and it ended up working out for her just like it did with Deshaun. The scene at the end after Drea got voted out just tickled me so much. There was so much joy in her interaction with Mike, and you could really see that Mike has connected with almost everyone on the cast in a real meaningful way. I absolutely loved it, just like Jeff did. And even the playing around with the snuffing of the torch, that was so much fun, so much fun. Interesting how she threw Omer under the bus, and I wonder what that's going to look like next week when maybe people realize he's the person who's doing a lot of scheming. However, since Omer and Mike were together on that plan, I don't think the person who really needs to be worried about Omer will be worried. Of course, I'm talking about Mike. I need to go back and look at Drea's comments again, but I thought there was some kind of comment like, I'm going to vote for you. And it makes me think that Mike might be a target next week if people start thinking, man, he's got such a good social game and Drea's going to vote for him, and maybe she'll influence the other people on the jury. I don't know. I feel like Jonathan's not really a threat. He's a threat to win challenges, but I don't think he's a threat to win. And I keep wondering, maybe Marianne is going to make it to the end and really make an argument for winning the game. If I were on the island, I would want to get rid of Mike. I would want to get rid of Lindsay. And I wouldn't be as worried about everybody else. Although we all know that Omer is probably the person to worry about. Anyway, can't wait to hear what you got to say. Everybody have a great week. Bye.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, Lindsay was safe, too, just like Deshaun. Probst did say that, but we had missed it the first time, right?
We totally missed it. We went back and rewatched the episode after we recorded. And he clearly said it when he was describing the do or die to us. Or he might have even said it in front of them again, too. But
that she was immune when she got the flame?
Yes. If she got the flame, then she would be safe for that tribal council. And I don't know how we missed that, but we did.
Yep.
But he was very clear about it.
And to answer your question, you probably already gone back and looked. But, yes, she did say that Mike was getting her vote. That's when he said, curse of death. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, SFP listeners. Jeremiah here once again for some feedback for this week, which was an excellent episode. I'm sure we're going to get giant woohoos from Pete on this one. Wow, man, Drea. Such a great player, by the way. Let me just point that out. I would definitely like to see her play again, but hopefully she learned her lesson not to share such vital information like your advantages. I mean, I understand. I heard her interviews. I get it. She was super close with Omer. She felt like she could trust him. But listen, don't trust anyone, especially with that kind of information. You know, if you keep it silent, you pull off a perfect blindside and you save yourself, especially when you know your head is on the chopping block. And she knew it. She's very observant. So obviously it's very frustrating, but exciting television to watch. And boy, between the whole stuff with the do or die, which, you know, once again, my feelings have not changed. I'm not a big fan of do or die. I don't like the idea of a player being, exited from the game that without a vote being involved. I just don't like it. It completely takes away from what the game's all about. And obviously, I would never do the do or die unless, of course, I knew my head was on the chopping block and I would go for that immunity. But otherwise, I'm going to be willing to probably sit out, especially if I feel, mostly safe. So anyway, but super excited because, oh my gosh, I was like, no, we can't lose Lindsay. I mean, Jonathan, I could, let him go, even though I had him safe, Joanne, as well. But I was a little worried about that because I think I had both of those two safe. So I was sweating it as well. for JSFL. But, yeah, I didn't want to see either one of those two go out that way. I mean, I don't want to see anybody go out that way, except for Romeo. It wouldn't probably been that big a deal if Romeo went out. But anyway, yeah, so all the excitement there and then leading up to that tribal council was just great television. So now I'm at the point where I'm looking at all these people. I did a power rankings right now, I know with only 6 people left, on who I think I was going to win. Obviously, I have Omer at the top of my winner choices, and then probably at the very bottom, Romeo. But I will say I do have Romeo locked in that 3 spot, guys. What is that, 5 points in JSFL for if you get the third place person correct? Lock in Romeo. I think he is your third person finisher, no vote. So there you go. How everybody else goes, I've got Omer, Lindsay, and probably either Marianne or Mike after that. And then, obviously, rounding up the bottom, like I said, Jonathan and Romeo, I don't think can win, especially Romeo. He's not winning at all. And I don't think they're going to make Jonathan that far. Now, next week, it's really hard to say what's going to happen. Now that Lindsay has an idol, I believe the amulet you have to use at 6, so she has to use hers. So Lindsay is safe. And then I don't think Marianne will have to worry about it, but I think she has to use her extra vote. So Jonathan and Omer may be the ones in trouble next week. So probably going to lean towards Jonathan, but we'll see what the other listener has to say. Maybe I can get talked out of it. All right, well, anyway, awesome episode. That's it for me. You guys take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Yeah, there's a good chance Jonathan will be immune. He may win immunity again.
Yep. And to answer your question, Jeremiah, third place is 10 points.
Mm-hmm. Yep, got a 10-point goat staring us right in the face, potentially.
Could be.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, that episode was bonkers. I'm loving this season, but I hope a goat rodeo doesn't spoil it. Here are my other observations. Romeo's game is so far under the radar that you need sonar to find it. That's awesome. Down underwater. When the amulet twist debuted, Lindsay was the last one I expected to get the idol. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Marianne didn't put her best foot forward with that gross toenail. And I think I recall High in one of his interviews, he said that Lindsay was the one that was hesitating. He and Drea were just good to go. They were like, yes, let's do this. Let's get this amulet advantage. But Lindsay was hedging a little in the beginning. And look at that. She ended up with it. Romeo modeled his game on Palau's Willard. All they seem to do is eat. That's a great reference. Jonathan burns 2,000 calories just lying around. I burn 1,000 crafting my feedback. All the brain energy. If you give the tribe a fish, you feed them for a day. If you try to teach them to fish, they say rude things about you and want to vote you out. Dre is allergic to coconut. If she's around any, it makes her blab her secrets. John wants to be appreciated by his ungrateful tribe mates. I want a pony. Challenges are adjusted for height, length, width, and weight. Not so much. John has weakened. He can no longer lift the bus they're trying to throw him under. The do-or-die rock choice could sink survivors who are purple-gray colorblind. Jonathan rubbing against the post looked like a bear scratching its back on a tree trunk. Mike thinks dominoes should go boom. I'm not inviting him over to play a game. Former footballer Lindsay wants to punt Jonathan from the game. Omer's praying lasted 10 seconds. He decided to call Dial-A-Prayer instead. Drea's next career move, starring in a slasher movie called I Observe. High didn't show up for the jury this week, so they sent an impersonator. Yeah, it was Oily High. I envy Omer. His parents didn't make him take phys ed. Given their use of nods and hand signals, the tribe would kill at auctions. Drea observes like a creepy cat. The only thing missing is the slow, twitching tail. Do or die score, Survivors 2, Monty Hall 0. Jeff knows where all the idols and advantages are. He sounds like 1984's Big Brother. Knowledge is power score, targets 2, knowledge is power holders 0. Given how Mike usually reacts to getting votes, he must really want to visit Canada. Instead of knowledge is power, they should have called it Keep It Private. That was an insane tribal council, but it left me grinning from ear to ear. Hearing Drew from Utah's reaction to my God-playing JSFL joke made my day. Indeed. Next time, the final 6. Who'll make it to the finale, and who'll get deep sixed? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. This was a great episode. Right off the bat, at the beginning of the episode, I liked Mike's plan to get Drea, but I don't think he's becoming the new high. I think that Omar is the real mastermind, man behind the curtain here that no one is looking at and noticing yet. Or maybe they are noticing him. I can't imagine that they're not. And Jonathan is having a rough time right now. And I don't like that they're upset at Jonathan when he lets them try to do things for themselves. It reminds me of my kids when I say, go do that yourself, and then they get all upset at me. I think it's good that he's well aware that when he has disagreements with them, that it's not to his advantage. I like his perspective, too, that being the provider isn't a good thing if it's not helping his game. I read that as if their appreciation doesn't translate into safety for him, that it's not worth his energy. Now, in life, I wouldn't be that way, but in the game, I think I would. Because out there, nobody has energy. Everybody's running on fumes, and the physical price you pay for that is high, like we saw with Jonathan this episode. Now, on to the immunity challenge, which the do or die twist just makes it seem so stupid. In these instances, I think Jeff is just so full of himself and proud of himself, and he thinks he's so smart and sneaky, and I hate that he talks to us. And I can't believe that only 2 people played for immunity, and how heartbreaking it was that it was Jonathan and Lindsay. And my prediction at the time was that one of them was going to go home, because safety like that cannot happen twice in a row. I mean, what are the odds? And again, this is such a stupid twist, and it's so easy to beat. Everyone just needs to refuse to play, and the twist is dead. Mm-hmm. Lindsay did not feel vulnerable, and she should never have put herself in that position. And if she hadn't, Jonathan would have been the only one opting to play. So then what would have happened? Would Jonathan just get immunity by default? Would he be both immune and the do-or-die player because he's both the first and last player out? In which case the do-or-die game is meaningless because he has immunity. What if everyone opted not to play? Then Jeff's monster would have to tuck its imaginary tail between its legs and go back into the imaginary lair in Jeff's head where it lives. And I would love that. Future survivors do not play the do-or-die challenge. I like the storyline this episode that if Drea went home, then Lindsay would have the idol, and if Lindsay went home, then Drea would have the idol. That was a great storyline. Other quick thoughts that I had are that Mary Ann is playing a great game. She's really grown on me. Omar is sitting on a throne in his confessionals just like Cochran did.
Yes.
Is that some foreshadowing, Survivor? Lindsay was awesome. She figured out so quickly how to defeat the knowledge is power advantage. When I saw how much time we had left when Tribal Council began, I knew there was no way Lindsay was going home. Too much time left. And wow, Drea slashed and burned on her way out. But also, why didn't we see this fun side of Drea on the show that apparently all the players know and love? I thought that was great. I love this cast and how they're such good sports. That's it from me. Till next week. Bye.
Thanks, Jen.
I totally agree with that. I thought she was always seemed so serious. You know,
I observed
little blurbs here and there, you know, and that laugh of hers. So you could kind of see it a little bit in the confessionals, but she seemed so serious in the shots, you know, the other shots they showed of her.
Selected those, yeah.
Yeah.
In her interviews, she said that she did end up talking with Jonathan after the hangry incident, and they both explained their perspectives and hugged it out, and they were good after that. So they found some reconciliation before she headed to the jury. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here. Now, I still haven't listened to your recap. That'll be fixed this afternoon, which brings me to the fact that I hate doing my feedback without listening to what the two of you have had to say. So excuse me if I tread on topics you've already covered. Okay, you want my honest impression of the episode? It gets a very solid woo-hoo from me, and it was easily the best episode of the season. I mean, nothing else has even come close for me. The amount of excitement and suspense was incredible, and it ended on a nice high note as well. Oh, and Pete, I purposely didn't go all out on my woohoo there because I didn't want to steal any of your thunder, bud. And I guess it's safe to say that we're at that point in Survivor where everything comes to a head and all of the gameplay that everyone has been building for themselves starts to crumble as more savvy players come out on top. Let's face it, we learned this week that it doesn't matter what kind of an arsenal you may have gathered because in the end, loose lips sink ships, and knowledge is power indeed. Drea was someone I would have been thrilled to see win, but I was also thrilled to see her go because it shows just how cool some of these players are playing the game. And by some of these players, I mean Omar. But boy, did he just out himself. Normally I wait until the end of my comment to make any predictions on who's going next, but I'm thinking the tribe needs to speak and send Omar packing. Drea's laughing and acting as if she were fine being voted off was only offset by the fact that she dropped little, truth bombs here and there? Mostly, though, she painted a target on Mike's back, but he just sort of loved how she thinks he can win the whole thing. I guess his bomb sailed over his head. And of course, she threw Omar under a different bus, so way to go, Drea. Smile while sticking that knife in, and everyone loves you. Now, I have to admit that the Lindsay-Jonathan story arc has been fun to watch. Once close friends, and now I guess they're, frenemies? Jonathan knows what's going down, and I honestly hope that body of his doesn't let him down and lose any upcoming challenges. But my hat goes off to him for winning that challenge against Lindsay, because I really didn't figure it would end like that. Did he react badly towards Drea with the whole fishing net thing? Yeah, but I think everyone's nerves get frazzled once or 24 times while they're out there, so whatever. I'm still wondering what would have happened if Jonathan were the only person who participated in the challenge. I mean, he'd be the first out, but he'd also be the winner, so... And Romeo? Let's talk about a bad edit here. Sitting there, thinking that no one sees him eating rice on the sly, or the supposed sly, and signaling to the cameraman to be quiet? Yeah, he's a goat for sure. And do we have to change that name? Goat, I mean? Because nowadays when people say goat, it means greatest of all times, which is clearly not the case here in Survivor, but we know what we're talking about, so I guess not. Now, the whole do or die challenge thing, well, I didn't care for it the last time, and I still didn't care for it this time. When Jeff was talking to us about what it entailed, you could tell he really wanted Lindsay to choose poorly. Hopefully, since it's beaten the odds and failed twice, we won't see it again. Because honestly, I just don't think it's fair. But, since it hasn't sent anyone packing, I won't be surprised if we see it again. And my last thing here is, had Mike been voted out, would he have been as smiley and laughable as Drea was when she walked away? Somehow I doubt it, because we know that he can hold a grudge. And I guess that's it for me. Take care, everyone. I'm off to see if I still have 2 pinky toenails, because maybe I just haven't been paying attention to them in the past. Bye now.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, and her little toenails were so teeny tiny. Anyway, they look teeny tiny.
Already working against her.
All right, thanks, Paul. Wow. I really kind of thought after she pointed out that she only told Omar that he'd be the next to go, but the more I think about it, I think, do they really care? Because he did something for them. You know?
Yeah.
If you're playing it for me, I don't mind you doing it. If you're playing it against me, then it's a problem. But they may not see it that way. I don't think Mike will, do you? I don't know about the others, but I don't know that Mike will.
I don't think Mike is going to be immediately forgiving to anyone who takes him out. And if Omar takes him out...
if he takes him out, of course not.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what Drea said to them.
Will that
I don't
have
think that's going to impact Mike at all.
It won't impact Mike because Mike's more concerned about what it means for Mike.
That's
what she said.
What I just said.
Yeah, to him.
So, yeah.
He may not have even heard what she said to Omar because he was so focused on what Drea had said to him.
I think he heard it, and probably they'll discuss it at some point. Some of them will. But that started to make me think, well, maybe they won't turn on Omar for that, and especially...
And I don't think Lindsay will, since Lindsay was partnered with him.
Jonathan out.
Lindsay was partnered with Omar and came up with the plan that Omar executed with Mike.
Is there anybody who isn't partnered with Omar? Everybody believes that he's totally with me.
He does seem to be at the center still.
And he has that... like when Drea told him that, oh, really? Oh, my goodness. I don't know. He just has a way to.
Reel 'em
it's
in.
like he endears himself to them somehow, or it's just us, you know. And I think he's very good at that. Some people are. You know, we've talked about noticing that with other Survivor players that they're very good at that, and they do well because of it, I think. But that's got me thinking now. I was just sure I was just going to go ahead and put Omar as my vote off, and then I started thinking, but wait a minute. Lindsay really wants Jonathan out of the game, and I believe it's because she does not see anyone else as a threat to beat her in the final challenges if she can get Jonathan out.
Right.
And I think she's going to push hard for that, maybe.
So Jonathan wins individual immunity. What did they do then?
Well, there you go. Right back at... They could have gotten rid of
Your
Mike.
choices are now Omar and Romeo.
If Omar gives Mike the idol back,
Then
and he
it's
has to play it,
Omar
he
and
has
Romeo.
one of those that has to be played by 6.
Right.
So why wouldn't he play it? So Mike's not going if that's the case, unless they convince Mike that it's Omar and he plays it for him, and then they vote him out.
Yeah,
They could do that.
Could be sneaky like that. There could also be another classic hidden immunity idol returning to the game.
Why?
Or an advantage, at a minimum an advantage, because one just got played.
Yeah, but did we have any advantages after that one last season? Because they seem to be following that.
Yeah, yes, we did.
Well, that put some more clutter in my brain.
Yeah, didn't help.
Thinking about it that way, like,
Yes.
because I was
Could
just
be more-
automatically going to vote Omar. And, oh, yeah, they're going to go after him, blah, blah, blah.
Could be more ammunition coming in.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if they get down to, say, Jonathan did win immunity, Lindsay has an idol, Marianne has an idol, Mike has an idol, and it's between Omar and Romeo, would they get rid of their goat Romeo?
Yes.
Or would they just go ahead and vote Omar out?
I think they might get rid of Romeo. I don't know who would be wanting to save him.
Anybody who wanted to take him as their goat,
And-
because there's nobody on the jury going to give him
Right.
votes.
But there was some sentiment. I don't know how genuine it was. There was some sentiment about going with the best, like Drea said.
Well, Drea said it, though, and Drea's gone.
Other people had said it too.
Yeah, but who would you want to take? Omar, knowing Omar gets some votes. Everybody likes him, seems to. And, people don't seem to like Romeo. So who would you really pick?
You'd have to have a sense of what the people valued. And hopefully you've been paying attention. You've been trying to suss that out all along. What is the value scheme for this cast? Are they going to respect going strong and then making their case? Or do they expect you to take someone like Romeo who's not going to get any votes because he seemed to offer nothing in the game other than paranoia and confusion? And hopefully you've been able to suss that out. And that's one of the things that we're never really given insight into. What do they value? Because it would essentially be a spoiler for you. You'd have too much of a bead on how they would make their voting decisions.
I could see Drea and High maybe voting that way, and maybe even Roxroy, because I think he would listen to Drea's input. But I really have no idea how Chanel or Tori, or really even Roxroy, would choose to cast their votes, or what they'd be looking at, or I don't know. Chanel doesn't smile a lot, even on the jury. I thought
she had
I don't
one
think
big
she
smile
really
last
wants to
time,
be there.
but there was definitely a lot of stink face going on.
I wish that they had the Ponderosa videos, because you get to see such a different side to the people
Right.
at the Ponderosa when they're away from the game.
Mm-hmm.
Then sometimes it's like, oh, wow, I like this version of you. whereas I didn't care for your gameplay, but I really like this version of you.
So on the jury,
this side of you.
Omer played a hand in Chanel, Roxroy, High, and Drea. Right?
But do they know it?
I'm pretty sure they've been talking about it, so I would think so. This is a crew who likes the game. They study the game.
You know Drea's going to talk about it when she gets...
and certainly High would, too.
Ponderosa.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, I trusted him so much, but I only told him. So it definitely got around because of him, because he's the only person.
Given what we've been shown, his is the most powerful social element that we've seen in the game.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some kind of idol advantage palooza happening in this next episode.
You think?
It'll be, well, since so many things have to be played, right? Mike and Lindsay have to play idols, assuming Mike gets his back. And then Marianne's got to play that extra vote so she could shift things in a surprising way. And there could be something else coming in. At the very end, last season, they brought in like an advantage in the last challenge kind of thing. That advantage popped up.
Well, if something came in this next episode, then it could literally be only one person available to go home. If counting immunity, if another idol or some kind of advantage is brought in that could save somebody, it could be down to, well, sorry, you're the only one that doesn't have protection.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a Sari again.
Certainly Marianne's got...
like to see that happen.
No. Marianne's got the most experience finding them.
That's true.
So she might be an odds-on favorite for finding another one and then deciding what to do with it. And that could be the big Survivor flip that they were talking about. What if she finds yet another idol and gives it to Romeo?
Right, she would say
and lets
Romeo.
everyone target him.
She acts like he's the only one that she really trusts, but she's always talking and listening to the other people as well and going, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll vote.
So you're connecting with Lindsay and Omer and Jonathan. I don't think we see her talking with Mike. I think Mike might be out of that loop a little bit.
Okay, so it's still up in the air, and I made a 360 right back to Omar ago. But,
sure.
But that's what I do before I make picks.
Well, there's still lots to mull over and marinate on in terms of all the feedback we got. Thanks to everybody who took time to share your thoughts and predictions today. We truly enjoyed that and appreciate hearing from all of you.
Oh, and if you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 11 picks for one person voted off and 4 people who are safe.
Oh, do you have a JSFL update for us?
I do. There is one person in first place now. 39 people lost their USB. 136 people lost a safe point. 38 people gained a vote-off point. For the side challenge, 49 points, Jeremiah and Laurel. 47, Cold Mike. 46, Rebecca. 45, Drew. 43, Parker and Stacy. 41, Robert. And 40, Justin.
If you'd like to come take part in these listener feedbacks, we still got a couple more to go. You can call and leave a voicemail at 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can write it up and send it to us in an email. We'll read it in for you. You can record your own and attach it to that email and send it to Joanne and Stacy Show at gmail.com, and we'll get that into the show. Feedback's due noon Pacific times on Saturdays, and we ask that you keep it in the 3-minute range so we can get everybody in.
And I just wanted to say to everybody, if you have a very low score in JSFL, don't give up. There are 55 available points for you in the final 5 selection. And if you have any USB points, it's possible you could get those if you selected a winner. And then there's the 5 points for this week. So don't count yourself out, because sometimes everything changes in the
turns upside down.
Finale with those extra 55 points up for grabs.
You could be shooketh like Marianne and be the beneficiary of a Survivor JSFL flip, and things could turn upside down in your favor.
Well, it has happened many times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there anything else you wanted to talk about the episode that you can think of?
Nope, good to go.
All right, well, we'll be back on Wednesday with our next recap.
Have a good one.